Hello and welcome to Team and Group Coach Academy. This is a question and answer session that I am recording especially for the ICF chapter in Brazil. So this is a shout out to you guys who are in Brazil. And this is a follow-up video from the chapter meeting that was held in October to talk about some of the similarities and differences in team and group coaching. So let's get started. So one of the first questions that I received, and I often receive this, is what do you do if team members or group members becoming disengaged in the process? And for both of those answers, both of those questions, I answer the same thing. It really comes back to participant selection. And so what you see here on the screen happens to be two models that I developed based upon my research. And the P in both of them stands for participant selection. And what I mean by that is that it is extremely important that the people who are selected to be part of this coaching engagement process has gone through an orientation, an interview process, whereby the coach is doing several different things. So in the training that I take coaches through, we go through a participant selection inventory, which is a questionnaire that you basically ask and interview with those that are looking at getting into the team coaching process, as well as group coaching. Now, that being said, sometimes in team coaching, the participants may not be volunteer. They may be strongly encouraged to attend by their boss, which may mean that you may experience some resistance or some hesitancy or even skepticism on behalf of team members. When that occurs, part of what the coach needs to do is contract with that individual. And so there's several different things and several different approaches that you can approach that and deal with that with. But most principally, that is all handled in the participant selection process that is very important to your engagement. You're doing interviewing, you're doing questionnaires, you're doing an orientation, and you're talking about and getting a sense of how is that team member going to show up in a team and or group process. If you have somebody who's extremely resistant, then that is going to be something that you will have to address straight up. And I never make that my problem or that person's problem. It's the team or the group's issue or challenge to deal with, which requires that the coach have skills and confidence around making sure that the team is handling that as well as the group handling that. And so there's different pieces, different techniques that I take coaches through to help them with that. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question are going to be specific to team coaching questions. And one of the questions was, is the team leader in with the session or not? Are they part of the coaching engagement? And part of what that depends on is how you contract with the engagement. It can work either way. And there's pros and cons to either having the leader involved with that or not involved with that. And so part of what's important is that the coach, the team coach, needs to have really good diagnostic skills, really good contracting skills to be able to determine and make recommendation on whether or not the team leader is involved in the process or not. And a lot of that, quite frankly, is going to come back to what does this team want to accomplish in a coaching engagement? So it's going to depend, and it can work either way. Next question. The level of involvement with the team leader who is hesitant. So again, if one of the questions that I had in regards to this question was, why would you do a team coaching engagement if the team leader is hesitant? And so I never push a team coaching process unless there is buy-in and unless everybody understands what they're getting into, what the coaching engagement looks like, and that there's a contract and an agreement up front on what are going to be the outcome of this team coaching process and what is their level of involvement. So I contract that up front. And again, like the first question, it can work either way, but that's going to really require that the team coach is really clear and has competence and skills to be able to have that kind of conversation. So I actually have a team that I'm working with right now where the team leader is, the executive is hesitant. They just want me to work with their team and fix them. And so part of that is it becomes a coaching opportunity for me to work with that executive. What is their hesitation? How will the team perceive their involvement or non-involvement? So there's a lot of different pieces that you can approach it there. And it really is going to come back on the coach feeling confident, being able to pick up on that, have insight, and have a very clear conversation on what is the expectations and what are based upon the desired outcome of that coaching engagement. Okay, next question. What training should I get to specialize in team and group coaching? Well, I'm kind of biased, but what I have found, the team coaching processes or group coaching processes are going to be directly, the success of them is going to be directly related to the level of skill the team and or group coach has. So they need to have a clear definition of each methodology, modality that they are working with, to be very clear what it is and what it is not. They need to have facilitation knowledge. They need to have team knowledge. What are the stages of team development? They need to understand group dynamics, group process, communication patterns. So communication patterns is going to be more than just understanding good communication and listening skills, right? Communication patterns is understanding how the communication happens within more than one coaching. Who is looking at who when they're communicating? Is the person looking just at the coach? Or are they looking at all of them? Does Jeff always talk to Sally? Does Sally never have eye contact with Sue? So learning communication patterns will be very, very important. And here's what I believe personally is the secret sauce of my training program. You have to have practical experience. And so part of what is important is you can learn great information, but you need to be able to practice that information, apply that knowledge in a way that's going to be beneficial for your clients. And so part of that is going to be encouraging, and I build it into my certification process, is that you have, depending on team or group, for team coaching, it's 4 hours of practicum. And for group coaching, it's 6 hours of practicum, which is really group supervision that allows you to critique yourself and get better at both of those. So let's go on to the next question. What is my biggest challenges that I've come across? And I would say it's probably what happens in the beginning is helping the client or clients understand and accept the coaching process. So it's just like in individual coaching. part of what you're doing is helping the client understand how to be a client. And so it's no different in team and group coaching, except for it can be a little bit more of a challenge, because helping the participants understand what's going to actually be different about team coaching than a team building exercise. What's different than group coaching than consulting. And so that is why it is extremely important for the coach to understand the different methodologies and what is the best methodology based upon the desired outcomes for your client. Next question was, what measurement do I use pre or post coaching? And I would say it's similar to individual coaching, where you are gathering data. You have the beginning objectives, you gather data, you execute an action plan, and then you evaluate during the process, how is this working for you? Is this coaching process, is this group coaching still something that you find valuable? What needs to change? And so part of the measurement is going to relate back to the desired outcomes. And if along the way you have an opportunity to evaluate the progress. Now, the other part of the measurement piece, which I'm going to go back here to my models, if you're talking about measurement of the participants from their perspective, part of what you want to be looking at here is having a results orientation. So what that basically means, in the same thing here, results orientation, is that you want to make sure, let me get a different colored ink here, is that you want to have results oriented. These is all part of the model that I use, is that you want to build a scorecard. So part of what I do here, so it's results oriented, meaning from the beginning, you were talking about desired outcomes and what is going to success be like, what does success look like for the team and or group. You're also in team coaching, which is a little bit different than group coaching, is scorecard development. So I take coaches through how to develop a scorecard that is going to measure objectives of the group. And there's a variety of ways to do that. But what's most important is that you do it, that you are measuring it, that you are reviewing it, that you are evaluating it, that you are checking in with the client to make sure that this is what it is that's going to work for them. All right, so let's continue on. What diagnostic tools, what diagnostic tools do I use? And so I took this question to mean, how am I using diagnostic tools to determine whether or not this is a team coaching process, or is it a team building process, or is it a team consultation process? So I use a diagnostic questionnaire that I developed that helps me to determine with the client what's going to be the best methodology for them. Especially, this is especially important for team coaching. So sometimes in team coaching, what may be most appropriate is a team building exercise versus a team coaching engagement. And so there are diagnostic questions that I use to help the client and myself become very clear as it relates to that. The coaching process. So does changing hats affect results? And I would say it depends on the skill set of the coaches. I have found that in order to be most effective, it is vital for the coach to be very clear what role they are playing at any given time. Are they acting as a consultant, or are they acting as a trainer, or are they acting as a coach? So a lot of that depends on the coach clarity and their level of skills needed for each of those different methodologies, but absolutely it can affect results. How do you handle the confidentiality agreement when a company is involved? It's the same as individual coaching. There is a contracting phase up front that you gather. It's part of the proposal process. For my particular process, I use it as part of the proposal, that everything is handled confidentially. When I get the participants in the team and or group coaching process, we go through it pretty much during the orientation process, but then I mention it usually at the beginning of every session, just reminding everybody that what is said here stays here. So that is one way that I am constantly making sure that I am adhering and making people feel safe around the confidentiality. Dealing with conflict during the storming phase. So how do I do that? So this is also directly related to the coach's comfort level. And so what I mean by that, so as we continue on, the third question is dealing with conflict during the storming phase. And as I was saying, and I hate to keep repeating this, but it is true. A lot of these are going to come back to the confidence level of the coach and the skill level, and part of the coach understanding. So one of the first courses that I take coaches through in my training program is helping them to understand their strengths and potential developmental opportunities as a more than one coach. And some coaches do better at dealing with conflict in groups and in teams than in others. And so there are various things that I use. One of them is the TKI, which is the Thomas Kilmann conflict inventory that I use with both coaches, and I also use it with participants. And then we develop confidence around dealing with difficult participants, as well as difficult dynamics within the team. So there's a variety of pieces, but again, it comes back to the confidence level and the coaching and the skill level of the coach. All right, so just again, reminding you, in the team coaching process, part of the education is walking through this model. It's helping a team coach become really comfortable with these various points, and all of those. By the time you finish the training, you have been able to address most of the scenarios that have come up. And again, this is coming out of the research that I did. And then the group coaching is very similar. It's a different model because it's a different coaching process, but I stay pretty close to these two models because, one, they're based upon empirical research, and two, my experience helps me understand that most of these, if you have most of these skills that come in this model, you will feel very confident. It'll increase your confidence in order to provide team and group coaching effectively. So that brings us to the next question, which is what's next? For those of you who are interested, I know that there were a few of you who were interested. I would like to present to you guys, for limited time only, a Brazil cohort where it's basically a 2-for-1 special, which is basically a 50% discount based upon current US dollars. And so what this would mean is that you could join 2 of you for the price of one. So with the team coaching certification, you're going to get these, get my pointer here, you're going to get these courses. And so you're going to get 20 ICF CCEUs, and this piece here down in the green is the basics. So these 4 courses are the same for team coaching as well as for group coaching. Okay, once you complete those 4 courses, then your particular pathway, if it is team coaching, then you would follow this particular next steps in regards to these courses. And then again, the last is going to be your practicum experience. So another way to say that is that the piece that is different between team coaching and group coaching is going to be the advanced section. So there is basics. Let me get my tools here. This is considered basics. It's not helpful if you have a white, and this is advanced. So, and then this is practicum. Okay, so the basics for both team coaching and group coaching are the same. So for example, if you wanted to do both team and group coaching, then you would already have completed the basics. So with that said, then let's go to group coaching. Group coaching, as you see here, the basics again are going to be the same as for team, because there are basics around more than one coaching. Then this is the advanced classes for group coaching, and then again you have practicum. So I specifically have done these in sections so that if people do not want to do the whole thing, they just want particular courses, then you can do this a la carte. You can do it, it's like a menu. Think of it in terms of like you're taking courses for at a university. You may only want to take one particular section. Maybe it's the basics section. And if so, then you can just do that, which is primarily, it's a hybrid. All of these are a hybrid between virtual, online courses, as well as for us, it would be on Zoom. So it would be both asynchronous as well as synchronous type training. So all of that to say that I am in the Brazil stands. I'm cheering you on. I want to do whatever I can do to help the Brazil coaches feel very comfortable and confident and effective team and group coaches. And so with that said, I'm hoping that I answered some of your questions. Please reach out to Flavio in regards to any questions that remain for you. And like I said, I am here to help you and am looking forward to working with all of you that are interested. Until we meet again, ciao.